tonight, relief for workers in Falkirk. A 6-month furlough scheme is agreed by the Scottish Government for staff at bus maker Alexander Dennis.
Relief. Be best to say that. Relief. Finally, we knew we've got something to look forward to.
Also on tonight's programme, charges are dropped against 2 men, including a former parliamentary researcher from Edinburgh accused of spying for China. A section of path remains sealed off this evening after what's thought to be human remains are found at Loch Lomond.
Coming up in tonight's sport, the Rangers board continue to back Russell Martin despite growing calls for the head coach to be sacked.
I really wanted to show my children that anything really is possible when you set your mind to it.
And we catch up with a mum of 3 from Troon who's completed the world's hardest triathlon. Hello, I'm Laura Miller. This is Reporting Scotland. The bus manufacturer Alexander Dennis says it will keep its sites in Scotland open after the Scottish Government agreed to provide a £4 million support package. The company had previously set out plans to close its facilities in Falkirk and Larbert with a loss of 400 jobs and move production to Yorkshire. The furlough scheme announced today will run for 26 weeks to enable the company to bring manufacturing back online. Stephen Gordon has the story.
All summer, the big worry for the Alexander Dennis workforce was that bus manufacturing in Scotland was destined to be a thing of the past. The plan, they were told, was to move production to Yorkshire, placing 400 Scottish jobs at risk. Today signalled a change of direction. The First Minister telling staff in Larbert that a furlough scheme giving them financial breathing space will go ahead.
For months we were worried about our job. But with that announcement, it's been pretty good. And we've got a bit of a future again, hopefully for a long time.
Relief. Be best to say that. Relief. Finally, we knew we've got something to look forward to.
COVID thrust furlough into the public consciousness. This scheme will work in the same way. The Scottish Government has pledged £4 million to cover 80% of an employee's wages, while they wait up to 26 weeks for Alexander Dennis to secure orders and restart manufacturing.
The last time there was a furlough situation, the whole sort of country, the whole world was closed. That's not what's happening right now. So we've got to be considerate and think about that quite carefully, I think. But we want to get back to work as quickly as possible.
The £4 million of furlough money is contingent on Alexander Dennis providing evidence that they have secured enough orders to sustain manufacturing in Scotland. In the past, company bosses have said that to do that, they'd need to win orders to build 300 buses a year. The workforce agreeing to revised terms and conditions will help the company balance sheet, but underlying challenges, notably competition from Chinese manufacturing, remain.
Is there any danger, though, that you're using public money to just push the cliff edge 6 months further down the line?
No, the company is demonstrating increasing confidence about orders, and we will see more of that coming to fruition. The government is providing short-term support to make sure that the company can reach that point of stability.
While 11 non-manufacturing roles are still at risk of redundancy, Alexander Dennis described today as a turning point that will save hundreds of jobs. Stephen Gordon, Reporting Scotland, Larbert.
A former parliamentary researcher from Edinburgh has been cleared of spying for China. Christopher Cash and another man, Christopher Berry, were arrested under the Official Secrets Act last year. This morning, prosecutors announced that the charges against both were being dropped. Downing Street has said it's extremely disappointed the trial isn't going ahead. Our Home Affairs correspondent David Cowan reports.
More than 2 years after his arrest, over a year since he was charged under the Official Secrets Act, a month before he was due to stand trial, Christopher Cash arrived at court to hear that the case against him was being dropped. The Crown Prosecution Service said its evidence against the 2 men accused of betraying their country no longer met the required threshold to go before a jury. Mr Cash and his co-accused Christopher Berry were cleared.
Well, I'm relieved that justice has been served today. The last 2.5 years have been a nightmare for me and my family. From being arrested in March 2023 my liberty has been severely curtailed, and I've had to deal with the anxiety of facing such a serious charge.
Mr Cash's lawyer, Henry Blaxland KC, told the court, lest there be any whispering campaign that he was fortunate that the prosecution ultimately elected not to proceed, we need to make it clear that our client is entirely innocent and should never have been arrested, let alone prosecuted. The 30-year-old from Edinburgh was a parliamentary researcher and director of the China Research Group, which raised awareness of UK-China relations among politicians. He had close links with senior Tory MPs. Along with Mr Berry, he was charged under the Official Secrets Act of 1911 with conducting espionage for China. Grave accusations now abandoned.
I am a very unhappy speaker with what's happened. The fact that for 2 years, and it's taken till today for somebody to withdraw this case, that is not good or good enough.
Many members will be as extremely disappointed as I am that there will now not be a trial. I want to be clear that the government remains gravely concerned about the threat of Chinese espionage.
The questions and controversy over the case will continue, but outside court, Christopher Cash thanked his family, friends and lawyers for their support.
Now that my name has been cleared, I can start to move on and rebuild my life. I sincerely hope that lessons are learned from this sorry episode. I wouldn't wish any other innocent person to have to go through this.
The Foreign Office has raised the case with the Chinese Embassy in London. Last year, China dismissed the charges against the men as a fabricated, malicious slander. David Cowan reporting Scotland.
Local leaders, as well as politicians from the three main parties, are backing calls for more government help for the Ferguson shipyard in Inverclyde. The campaign says the nationalised Port Glasgow firm should be directly awarded a contract for a new Calmac ferry, as it seeks to move on from the controversy surrounding two delayed and over-budget ships. Our news correspondent Jamie McIver has more.
The Glenrosa is finally heading towards completion. One of the two Arden ferries built at Ferguson's, years late and hugely over budget. But once the Glenrosa is ready, there's nothing in the order book, and there are real fears for 300 jobs, as well as wider social and economic damage.
Well, the workforce are very concerned just now in regard that we haven't got an order for the future.
But the union says there's a way forward. It says the Scottish Government should give the contract to build a new ferry for the Hebrides straight to the yard. Rival yards abroad, which may be cheaper, wouldn't be able to bid.
We're a Scottish-owned shipyard, run by Scotland ministers, and we're building ships for Scotland, for the islanders of Scotland, so why can't we get a direct award?
Their calls won the backing of local politicians from Labour, the SNP and the Conservatives, as well as others in the community.
It would be ridiculous. It would be absolutely ridiculous that we need ferries to sail on the west coast of Scotland and place them with shipyards in Turkey or Poland. It's just astonishing that anybody should think about it like that.
Within the Scottish Government, there seems to be sympathy for the arguments being made by the local community, but this may not be straightforward. The First Minister, John Swinney, says the Scottish Government is actively considering a direct award, but he cautioned there's huge complexity in this. The new ferry would replace this one, the Lord of the Isles, on the route between South Uist and Mallig. A direct award to Ferguson's would need to be able to withstand any legal challenge. One group in South Uist says the contract must not become a political football.
We can't afford to have the shocking service and the shocking lack of ferries and the shocking delays that have impacted every person across the west coast of Scotland, regardless of what island they're on.
Transport Scotland says it's considering what should happen next, but politicians will be well aware of the likely row if Ferguson's has no work and a big Scottish Government contract goes abroad. Jamie McIver, reporting Scotland.
Detectives are investigating after possible human remains were found at Loch Lomond. Officers have been at the scene today after the discovery on Saturday afternoon. Katie Hunter reports.
This area of Loch Lomond is now a potential crime scene. Officers have been here since Saturday afternoon following a report of possible human remains found near Ruadú. Behind this cordon earlier today, a police van and a forensics vehicle. Plainclothed officers were also at the scene this afternoon. This area is about a mile from Ferguson Point. It's a popular path with both cyclists and walkers running alongside both Loch Lomond and the A82. This section of path has been sealed off for 2 days, although police haven't confirmed what was found here. In a statement, a spokesperson said, around 12:40 p.m. on Saturday, we were called to a report of possible human remains discovered near Ruadú at Ferguson Point, Loch Lomond. Police say extensive inquiries are ongoing. Katie Hunter, reporting Scotland, Loch Lomond.
For years, the former Scotland rugby player Scott Hastings and his wife Jenny supported campaigns to get people active as a way of improving their mental well-being. Jenny lived with depression and exercise was a vital tool in helping her manage the condition. Well, she took her own life last year. Now, in her memory, one of Scott's former teammates is preparing to swim the length of the Caledonian Canal, 60 miles from Inverness to Fort William. John Maguire has more.
Jenny and Scott Hastings first met when they were at school and were together for 45 years. She'd long struggled with her mental health and in September last year took her own life. 1 year on, and her husband is determined to ensure her legacy.
I miss Jenny every day. She had this amazing connection with people and she was probably concentrating more on other people's, health rather than her own mental health. But having said that, she was fit and active and wanted people to enjoy life. When she was well, she was radiant, beautiful and outgoing, but to see somebody suffer mental health and poor mental health was a challenge.
During lockdown, the couple even ran street aerobics for their neighbours. Once a week, the former rugby star, inspired by Jenny, swims here in the bay where she died. It provides, he says, great comfort.
It's part of the fun that I love having a wee saying to Jenny, and the fact that we swim where she went for her final swim. It's still very reflective and resonant, and I'm not disguising the fact that it's tough sometimes. It's been good for me to sort of almost carry on that legacy that she so enjoyed her swimming and exercise. I can't believe you pulled that out. You don't look great there, do you?
Well, do you know what? The reason for that is it just highlights my career versus yours. You've got pictures of you scoring tries left, right and centre, and all I've got is pictures of being stood on the bottom of rocks or broken nose. Yeah, that probably sums up my career, Scott.
Now, a former teammate of Scott's, Ian Sinclair, is taking on a mammoth challenge, in part to honour Jenny's memory. He'll be the first person to attempt to swim the length of the Caledonian Canal.
There's the monster there.
As long as we stay out Nessie's way and Nessie stays out our way, we'll be happy.
60 miles and lots of locks, both the canal and the lake variety.
Bit chilly today, isn't it?
It's definitely a bit parky, Scotty.
He'll be in the water every day for up to 6 hours, a test that will be both mental and physical.
I think it'll just be about keeping the body healthy. So I'm 48, not 28, and I think going back to back, every day we're trying to do 10k. So 10k is equivalent to a marathon swim. So trying to do one of these every day for the next 10 days that's probably going to be the challenging part, just keeping the body fit and healthy.
I think it's great because it just brings a sense of a wider awareness to people, and he's been an inspiration for me, and it's just taking that legacy. Jenny would have loved to have seen Ian do what he's doing, and so proud of him. I can't wait to get onto the boat to support him, and I might jump into it occasionally just to maybe do a few legs, but it's going to be cold up there.
From Fort William to Inverness, sea to sea, he will test himself to the limit, but he's backed by a team, including Scott, who understand just how important it is to challenge, to strive and to inspire.
John Maguire with that report. And if you are suffering distress or despair and need support, including urgent support, a list of organisations that can help is available. Information of where to find that is on your screen now. OK, let's get tonight's sport now with Lewis, and lots to debrief from the weekend.
Yes, Laura, you could put it that way. There always is. A lot of happy fans, a lot of very unhappy fans as well. There are jam-packed weekend. Thanks very much. Hello there. Yes, the Rangers head coach Russell Martin is expected to be in the Ibrox dugout for the weekend visit of Hibernian, despite growing calls from the club's supporters for him to be sacked following another dismal result. A double from Hearts captain Lon Shankland consigned Rangers to their first league defeat of the season, but they've yet to win in the Premiership and have scored just 3 goals in 5 games. The home stands were almost empty come full-time, with widespread anger directed at Martin. The result leaves Rangers in 10th place, just 4 points from 5 league games, with 4 draws and 1 defeat. Their victors Hearts are joint top.
Professionally, obviously it hurts a bit because no one sees how hard you work. No one sees the stuff you have to deal with. But it is what it is. It's the job of being a football manager. So I want the team to win. We all do, and we'll work as hard as we can to get that.
You've talked about the support that you've had from above all the way through since you came in. Are you absolutely certain that that's going to continue, given what they're witnessing around the stadium at the moment?
We'll see.
Well, our Sports News correspondent Chris McLaughlin is at Ibrox. Chris, Russell Martin stays in post for now, but for how much longer can this run of form continue with him in charge?
Yeah, that's the big question, Lewis, isn't it? You're right, he will remain in charge for now. I'm told he does have the backing of the boards at this club. I think the feeling around the boardroom, Lewis, is because there has been so much change in recent months, they're willing to let the dust settle just a little bit longer and give Russell Martin time to try and turn things around. Now, the head coach took his squad to Loch Lomond today for some open water swimming. I am told a chance to reset, a change of scenery. I think that will be cold comfort to the majority of the Rangers fans, though, who have completely lost faith in Russell Martin. I think, Lewis, now it's a balancing act for this board because they know that changing the head coach will cost money. They think it will cause upheaval when changing the manager at Rangers in recent years clearly hasn't worked. Also, crucially, Lewis, admission from them that if they did get rid of Russell Martin, then this new board had made the wrong call in the first place. That would not be a good look. But to turn things around would take a spectacular change in form, and there's no evidence to suggest that that is coming. So yes, he has the backing of the board for now, but if things don't get better and the Rangers fans start voting with their feet, then we could see things changing pretty quickly.
We certainly could. Chris McLaughlin at Ibrox, thank you. Well, sticking with the theme of unhappy supporters, because Celtic fans aren't happy either, but their manager Brendan Rodgers is confident that his players won't be distracted by a turbulent few weeks at the club. A large number of visiting fans staged a late entry protest during Celtic's game at Kilmarnock to demonstrate their dissatisfaction with the club's board. They remain angry about a lack of significant summer signings and a failure to reach the Champions League, which has heightened pressure on those in charge at Celtic Park. Kilmarnock supporters were also left unhappy, though, after this penalty decision went against them in the dying moments of the game, with the score level at 1-1. Kelechi Iheanacho, the club's latest recruit, fired home the resulting penalty to seal a 2-1 win, which keeps Celtic top of the table on goal difference.
I'm not a politician. I'm anything but that. I'm a football manager, and of course there's always a test with everything that goes on, and that's what big clubs are about. There's a lot that goes on within them, but ultimately it's what you do on the pitch. For us, it's control on what we can control. I think today we talked about the clarity for the team, what it is we want to do, and especially at the start of the game where it might have been a bit strange. We know what we can control, and we know and we have the confidence that we've been in many situations before where it's been against us and we come through.
Athletics now, and there will be 3 Scots on the start line of the men's 1500 metres at the World Championships in Tokyo, as Josh Kerr, Jake Whiteman and Neil Gourley all qualified from the semi-finals. Defending champion Kerr hardly broke a sweat for most of his race, but was made to work a little bit in the closing stages, finishing second. Whiteman, who won the title in Eugene 3 years ago, was 1 place back. And it was touch and go for Gourley in the second semi. He squeezed through by the skin of his teeth in 6th place there. The final takes place on Wednesday afternoon.
The screen wasn't showing it, so it was very difficult to know what's going on around you. But yeah, I thought we were clear, which I think we were. But obviously some dramatics near the end. But it's a world semi-final. What do you expect?
I probably worked a bit too hard at bits I shouldn't have, but I feel good in my last 200. So. Yeah, like Josh was saying, I felt like there was enough for us away, but it felt like they was pushing for no reason, but we're both through, that's the main thing.
And now to rugby, and the Scotland women's team deserve more respect from the governing body, Scottish Rugby, according to back row forward Jade Conkle, following yesterday's World Cup exit. England were too strong for the Scots in yesterday's quarter-final, running in 6 tries to take a 40-3 lead before Rona Lloyd bundled over the line in the last play of the match. Scotland's players have been locked in a dispute with their own union, and many of them, including Conkle, were told before the World Cup that they wouldn't be offered new contracts. Head coach Brian Eason is also leaving his role.
And the fact that we've made it to a quarter-final, I'm not going to lie, is through no help of the SRU. I think they've made our build up to this really challenging mentally and emotionally. This is a programme that we pour our life into. Like, I've been in this setup since I was 18 years old, and I'm not taking away, there are good parts. Do you know what I mean? I'm not saying that everything's bad. It's not at all. Like, the fact that a lot has happened in the build up to this tournament, it doesn't sit well with me. So respect us, know that we pour our heart and soul into it, and give us the credit we deserve.
Yeah, and it was an enthralling tournament indeed, so well done to them.
Good stuff. Thank you, Liz.
Cheers, Laura.
Well, sticking with sports of a very different kind, the World Stone Skimming Championships held in Argyll has been rocked by scandal amid allegations of cheating. Our colleagues on the News at 7 on the BBC Scotland channel have been hearing from the event organiser to find out more.
It was really the next day that murmurings and kind of rumours started to come to my ears that there perhaps had been a couple of competitors who had been tampering with their stones. And then it was really the skimmers themselves, the stone skimming community, started contacting me to let me know that this had happened.
Now, how do you fancy a new challenge to test yourself? Well, what about the Arch to Arc? It is billed as the hardest triathlon in the world. It consists of an 87-mile run from Marble Arch in London to Dover, swimming at least 21 miles across the English Channel, and then just a nice leisurely 181-mile cycle from Calais to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris to round things off. Well, Lindsay Blair from Troon has just completed it. She's the first Scot to do so, and only the 65th person and the 15th woman to ever finish the epic challenge. She's been speaking to our reporter, Katrina Renton.
It has been described as the hardest triathlon in the world, and last week Lindsay Blair completed it.
A bit of a sore mouth from the salt water for being in the sea for so long, and a few aches and pains. I've got a sore wrist, but other than feeling just generally a bit tired, I'm feeling really good.
The course is brutal, from Marble Arch in London to the Arc de Triomphe in Paris, with the English Channel in between.
Good luck, Lindsay!
You run 87 miles.
I was allowed to have someone either run or cycle with me for the first 10 miles to get me out of central London, and then after that I was on my own. So running, basically following my Garmin map, running in the dark.
You swim 21 miles, but weather conditions meant Lindsay had to do more than double that.
About 14 hours into the swim, the wind really picked up and the tides was really brutal, and I was getting battered about by the waves. So much so I was unable to take some feeds because I couldn't catch them because the waves were so strong. It was now dark, and it was just a relentless, brutal swim from then on in. I've got a headwind, it's horrible.
And then you cycle.
So we started the bike legs 181 miles from Calais to Paris, but taking in the coastal route. So someone said to me it was all downhill from here, and no, it was all uphill from there. It was up and up and up, and I had a horrendous headwind. I was like, you can't make this up. Mother Nature was not on my side, but just keep pedaling.
Lindsay was focused on fundraising. One of the charities she was supporting was in memory of her best friend Gillian, who died when she was 36 from breast cancer. Lindsay's 3 children were also her motivation.
Anything really is possible when you set your mind to it, and your mind is so much stronger than your body, and if you really work hard you can achieve anything you want to. So that was a really important message that I really wanted to get across to my children and to anyone else that's watching.
It took 95 hours and 11 minutes. So what kept Lindsay going? Singing, eating mashed potatoes, and saying this over and over.
I'm going to make it, I'm going to make it, or I'm going to make it.
Katrina Renton reporting Scotland.
Gosh, well done to her. She deserves a lie down, I think,
Absolutely.
after that. The weather clearly not playing ball for her, Christopher.
No.
What did you do?
Can't do much about that, unfortunately. But I've got a lovely sunrise photo today, actually. Now we're into autumn, seeing many more of these because the sun's up that bit later and many more of us actually get to see it. So
well, something then, isn't
it? Indeed. Thank you for your Weather Watcher pictures once again. Lots of them coming into us today, despite the weather being a bit disappointing at times, really. Low pressure overhead with showers and rain, and actually low pressure is the theme for the week ahead. Riding in on the jet stream, acting like a conveyor belt, the jet stream, the fast-moving winds up in the atmosphere, just delivering low pressure after low pressure. Today's will continue to clear away this evening, so some outbreaks of rain towards the east and the south, and then drying up and clearing up. Temperatures in towns and cities around about 8 to 11 Celsius, a touch colder in the countryside in the northeast. Tomorrow is a drier and brighter day than today. Still some showers though, certainly down towards the Solway and across the far north and the Northern Isles. In between though, reasonably dry with some sunshine. Now by mid-afternoon you can see those showers still with us now across southern Scotland and perhaps just drifting further north in towards Inverclyde and west central Scotland in general. But Edinburgh, Dundee, Stirling, Perth, Aberdeen, mostly dry. There's that second area of showers across the far north and the northwest coming in on those northwesterly winds. Tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, we've got some clear skies initially as the showers fade away, and then cloud and rain begins to move in from the southwest because at midweek, and we've got low pressure with us once again. And you can see we've got some strong winds on the southern flank of that low. So for Wednesday, a bit of a soggy start with that band of rain working its way northwards, but mid to late morning, a lot of that wet weather tending to peter out, leaving us rather drizzly conditions with something brighter in towards the south, but the black arrows there indicating wind gusts. It will be a blustery day, temperatures around about the mid, maybe high teens. And then on Thursday, we've got another area of low pressure on its western flank. We could see some strong northerly winds developing. Rain across the far north and Northern Isles, showers across the Highlands and Islands. Elsewhere, dry with some spells of sunshine, but fairly blustery at times. That's the forecast for now.
Thank you, Christopher. Now tonight's main news again. A 6-month furlough scheme is agreed by the Scottish Government for staff at the bus maker Alexander Dennis. And that is Reporting Scotland for now. I will have your late news around 10:30 tonight. Join me then if you can. But until then, from everyone on the team, enjoy your evening. Good night.